Hello everyone, this is Roxanne here at Crossing Bridges Now. I wanted to come on here for a little bit and just talk about my program, Step Into You. I wanted to explain how I infused some of these moon phases, well not some of them, all of them, into the program, and I was actually going to share some of the worksheets just so you knew what was involved in it, because right now I've reduced it to $582.75, which was as close to $583. So for me, that's still keeping it within the numeral number 7, which was really important for this program. That's what I really wanted to have. So what I wanted to share with you is that keeping very in line with what the MBCT program is, so Mindfulness Based Cognitive Therapy, there is a daily diary. And I'm just going through my book here, so pardon me because I'm pulling out some of the pages just to show you. So with the MBCT diary, it is 2 pages and this gets filled out daily. Okay, so what were your mindful practices for today? Reflecting on your practices for today, how did they go? Were they challenging? How can they be improved? Reflecting on your thoughts today, which ones need to be considered and questioned? Was there truth to the thought or thoughts? Reflecting on your emotions today, which ones need to be considered for further thought? How else could you have reacted? Reflecting on behaviors today, which ones need to be considered for improvement? How else could you have reacted? And then the last question is, celebrate you. Always at the end of the day, we should celebrate ourselves, and it's something that we don't do. We reflect on what we could have done differently. We criticize ourselves because it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot to do that, right? So this makes it a twist. You celebrate yourself and then you achieve what you accomplished. Okay, so that's the diary. So staying true to that, I wanted to keep that in there. So that is something that is covered over the 8 weeks. So keep in mind, it's 8 times 7, so it's 56 days. But this also creates a habit for you, right? So then you start changing your whole thinking. You start changing your whole thought. You start to really enjoy you and really understand you and really celebrate you as a person. And you really shift out of that thinking, out of, oh my gosh, I didn't get this done. And you really get out of criticizing yourself. We celebrate others before we celebrate ourselves. So that's what I really liked about the diary. Okay, so in week 1, the moon phase that gets intertwined with phase 1 is the new moon. The new moon is a time to begin, and you'll have to forgive me because I didn't want to forget anything, so I made notes, so you're going to see me looking over to the right, and it's just because I wanted to make sure I got everything in accurately for you. So it's a time to begin a new journey, and within that, it's all about what is your one manifestation and what is your one intention that you want to set for this program. So this is a little bit different than what the MBCT program is, right? So this is all infused. It's also infused in with the meditation. So you do get a weekly meditation. And if you've never meditated before, I've done up a little intro to meditation for you as well that I send off with the program. So everything like your workbook and your meditations are emailed to you on a weekly basis. Okay, so to get you into all of this, I've created a weekly program, like I said. So you get a mindful daily exercise. The mindful daily exercise, you get to choose which one you want to focus on. Is it brushing your teeth? Is it drinking or eating? Is it moving from room to room? What is it, right? Then what you do is a mindful day exercise. So with it, so when you're starting out with mindfulness practice, it often helps to plan out a mindful day and write it down so that you know what you're going to focus on. The more it is practiced, the better this habit becomes established and will mindfully become your daily routine. So what did you achieve? So it's very similar to the diary. So it's almost like you're duplicating it for the first week, right? But this is getting you into the habit of it. This is really introducing it to you. Some of the things that are a little bit different though is what is important to you right now? What can you focus on right now to get your mindful day started? Who will you focus on being completely present with today? Okay, so that is week 1. Now, week 2. So it takes all those exercises within week 1 and it continues it on into week 2. However, the moon phase that gets introduced into week 2 is the waxing crescent moon. And that is all about committing to your goals and intentions. Okay? And within this, I've created an exercise which is creating affirmations. So what are your affirmations that are going to support your intention and your manifestation? Okay? That will help carry you through the 8 weeks. And then with your affirmations, what I like to do, and this is what I do in my readings as well, when I'm doing readings for people, is I get you to write them down on a piece of paper and stick them up in either your bathroom or on the mirror or maybe on your door as you're exiting for the day. So where can you put that, right? So that is what that is all about. And again, so taking it a little bit further now, so you, like I said, it's those same exercises in week 1, but now what gets filled out, okay, is now you get to choose a 20-minute mindfulness daily walk. So now it's your choice. Are you going to do the mindfulness exercise, so with the brushing your teeth or focusing on what you're eating, or are you going to do a walk? And you can do a combination of the two. So what was the thing that you saw? So in here, like I've created space right where you can mark everything. So what was the sound you heard? What did you smell? What did you taste? And you can actually taste the air, right? So you can say, I tasted this. Or maybe you brought a snack with you. Maybe you brought a drink with you. What did you feel? So were you wearing mitts? I mean, we're in winter right now, so maybe you are wearing mitts and that's what you felt. Maybe you felt the coldness on your face. Maybe you felt the wet. So what was that? And what did you see? Like, did you see the vibrancy of the leaves? If, you know, depending on where you are, did you see something that was unusual on your walk that you didn't see before? So it is a 20-minute walk, right? So this is a commitment again. So you get to choose. It's either this or your exercise. Okay, so that is week 2. So taking it a little bit deeper, right? So now we get, and there is a tiny bit of an exercise, and this is in week 2, we talk about your internal and external language. Sorry, pardon me. So we start to investigate into that, right? And you make notes, right, of how you say things to yourself in different situations and how you say things to other people in different situations. So that's what that is all about. Okay, so now we move on to week 3. The moon phase that gets incorporated into that is the first quarter moon. It's all about leaving the past behind. Okay, so within that, it's identifying obstacles, and this is the exercise that's intertwined into week 3. It's identifying obstacles, which can show up in your thoughts, in your behaviors, in stress, in emotions. So it's all about that. Okay, so like right at the beginning, there's a little exercise for that. So again, now you get to choose what you're going to do. Are you going to do the mindful daily exercise, or are you going to do the 20-minute mindfulness daily walk? But now, now we move on to something a little bit different. A 5 sense exercise. Okay, so again, I have filled this out for you and you just fill it in. So what are 5 things you see? What are 4 things you hear? 3 things you taste? 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you touch. Okay? And then what week 3 is all about is getting in touch with our core beliefs. So we go through the core beliefs, like what I must, should, always do well and win in the approval of others. Maybe that's a belief. Others should or must treat me kindly and fairly. That is how I treat them. Maybe that's a belief and that's what you expect. So it's also expectations, right? I must get what I want, how I want, when I want, right? So maybe it's a little bit deeper. So we really start getting into the limiting beliefs of yourself. Okay, and then the 3 areas of core beliefs are the beliefs of the world. So when I say that, it's redirecting the focus inwardly, gives the power back to yourself and gives the choice to live in a world of freedom and flexibility by choosing to freedom and flexibility within us, right? Then the beliefs of others. Okay, and then the beliefs in ourself. So those are the 3 different areas. And then there's a questionnaire for you to fill out about your beliefs. Okay, and then there's a few more exercises. Now we move on to week 4. Right, so you can see how all of this is layering and how it's all getting deeper. So in week 4, it's all about waxing gibbous moon. Don't give up. Stay strong. Okay. So it's also a time to start looking for the changes in your relationships. Revisit your manifestation and intention and see, what your affirmations and everything else, is it still supporting that? Are you still on course for your manifestation and intention to come into fruition or not? Has that started to change again now that you started to really start to identify your language and your beliefs? Is it starting to change a bit? Okay. So, and that's the exercise. So again, it's all, you get to choose. It's the mindful daily exercise, the 20-minute mindfulness walk, the 5 senses exercise, right? Plus, you've also got your daily diary. So this is a lot of work you're doing. This is a huge investment in you, in shifting, in changing old habits, in really affirming and identifying your beliefs, really becoming you. So that's why it's called Step Into You. Okay? So within this one, we start to focus on our personal thought patterns. What was the experience that created the primary thought? Now, how can you change that to a new thought, right? So that primary thought is supportive of that first, and if you saw my talk that I did for the Wellness Living conference, then you would have heard me talk about how our experiences create our beliefs, and they truly do. So how we identify what love is and what love means to us, and how that starts to form, and whether or not somebody fits within that action of love, that tells us that we are loved, right? Because it's pain or pleasure. So what was the experience? So the everyday event. So what is the activating event that also brought up these emotions that get stored, that get created, that act as evidence that this is either love, this is happy, this is not, right? And create either a big overwhelming feeling of either love or stress or anger or unhappiness, or like somebody did something wrong, or looking for approval, right? So it's what was the experience, and then the primary thought pattern, the immediate thought. So we also start talking about cognitive distortions too. And then what was also the negative thought, and what do you want to change it to, right? So now it really brings it back to you being in control, being responsible, really identifying. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining me. It's nice to see you. And the exercise that's in there is the critical thinking checklist. Okay, so then that really helps to break it down. Now, I'm not going to go through all the questions in here, but you can see that there's actually quite a bit to this checklist. Okay, but the exercise that gets done with this is the 5 whys. The initial thought, emotion, or behavior to be investigated. Why is this happening? And then you go and you write down what your what happened in that situation. Okay, so now you've written it down, but now you're going to keep attacking it. And then you go, why? So then you write down the why to that experience, and then you attack it again. Why? And then you write down what that is, and then you attack it again, and then there's a final one, right? So it really brings it, and what you're doing is you're identifying why that thought, emotion, or behavior keeps happening, because there's a core root, and that root happened, and all you do is that every time you feel or something affirms that thought or something affirms that emotion, you keep adding it to it, and it keeps compounding and gets bigger, validating it, making it bigger, and then this gets projected on to other people, whether it's true or untrue. Most of the time it's untrue, but it's just because we don't understand how to let go, and we don't understand how to really release. This is why all of this happens, right? So I give you a few of these so that if you have more than one emotion you want to explore, more than one behavior or thought, it's all in there so you can really let that go. Okay, so you can see how much work is in this, right? Like, you are getting a lot. You are getting a lot to do to really let go and really understand who you are, and really form those supportive beliefs, and really step into self-love and loving yourself, right? Honoring you. Okay, so then we get into week 5. Week 5 is the full moon. It's your time to shine, right? So you may feel a buildup of emotions and a better understanding of your core values and beliefs at this time. The other thing too, as we know and as we've talked about, is when the full moon comes up, it because we are like 85% of water, it's going to pull everything up, right? And so then whatever is really bothering us, we're going to feel the most of. So if something frustrates us, we're going to see how many things frustrate us, because that's something we need to let go of. If something makes us quick to anger, then we need to let go of that anger. Whatever that situation or action, behavior, emotion is, we need to identify that and let it go. So the moon is actually working with us to help us release, right? And this is also what's intertwined and interweaved within the meditation. Okay. So, and this is, and it really helps you identify and really understand, so that with every full moon, you can go, oh, I know what's going on here. And then you can either journal, maybe you go back to your MBCT journal afterwards, or maybe not. Maybe you just start creating a new journal, because by this time you've created a foundation, you've created a habit of writing things down, that maybe you can start your own new journal, right? So again, you get to choose what you're going to do. The mindful daily exercise, the 20-minute mindfulness walk, the 5 senses exercise. But what else is going on is that you really start to investigate into your emotions in this one. Okay? And how to, and I give you some other things that can help pull you out of it when you feel like, because you know, when you start to think and you start to overthink, and then it just goes off and it takes you off somewhere, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh, I'm feeling upset and angry and I really had no reason to. I started off the day happy, but now I don't understand why this is. So this gives you some things just to help pull you back to center when that happens. One of them is like running water over your hands, just feeling the water and just really focusing on that. So these are all mindfulness exercises, right? So running the water over your hands, feeling it, and just letting it wash everything away. Okay? Put some music on and move your body. So a little bit of dancing, burn sage if you're into burning sage, right? And then we start, like I said, we start to really identify emotions and give you a few different exercises on what is a good way, maybe what you didn't know that you could do before. Sometimes stepping out of yourself, so stalking, how do you stalk yourself? But talking about yourself in the third person, that's one way, right? So another way is observe it and not expand on it. And then we start getting into that, and then removing antagonism. We really do that, don't we? Notice the buildup. So really identify the signs and everything that creates that emotion, create that height, right? Recognize reoccurring patterns. So in order to break a cycle, you have to understand why the cycle is there, right? So this is what all of that is about. And then writing them down. So writing it all down, and again, maybe it's doing a burning letter. Maybe it's just not even getting into that. Maybe it's just really identifying it, because sometimes we want to identify it to explore it and to sort of sit with that over a few days, right? Sometimes we just need to sit within that void and really investigate why this is happening and understand, because it may be an emotion, but sometimes with an emotion, it's layered. There's a few things going on inside of there, right? So it just really helps with that. And then there's the breathing exercise. So I put that in there too. Now there's a few exercises, again, just to help support that. One is called a fishbone. Then there's the old new meaning worksheet. Okay. And then we also discuss the intelligent mind. The intelligent mind is composed of the emotional mind and the analytical mind, right? So then you get given this little diagram, okay? And that's for you to keep and for you to understand. The other thing that we explore in this are our fears, okay? Because really it's letting go, right? Because the full moon is asking you to let go. So we really let go. So within the hierarchy of fears, it says, I won't be myself. So starting at the bottom here, because this is how it works, and then it goes up, and so that's the little diagram there. I won't exist, right? That's a fear. A fear is I will be invaded. Like if I really start to show myself, then people are going to come in and come at me, right? I will be humiliated. I will get rejected, and I won't be myself, right? So then we start exploring all those fears and why they're there. But did you know that there's, okay, so now let's put this little thing. Fears really come from the past and the future. It's hard living in the now, right? So within, oh my gosh, excuse me, I made this so small. Living in the past causes depression. Living in the future causes stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. So this really helps to understand why you're overthinking and where your depression is coming from. Maybe you're not even depressed. Maybe you're just sad. And because this is just one of those emotions that's been created that gets expanded on, you get to understand why you're feeling that way, right? So it really breaks it down. But it really gets you to learning how to live in the present and live in the now. That, when I did this, when I really understood this and really started to let go, it was amazing, because I was one of those people who was afraid of the future, right? And this was, I want to say, I really learned this maybe about 6 years ago. So I've been there and I know what it's like. And I've done a few different things to really support on how to live in the moment. And it's amazing. It's truly amazing what can happen. Okay. And just to explore that a little bit further, there's a mindfulness fears questionnaire. Okay. So that's what week 5 is really all about. Oh, before we move on, I wanted to show you this. Did you know that there's really only 2 core fears? There's really only 2 core fears that we have. The ones that we're born with is the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. And that comes from our genetics, right? However, fears we develop come from failure or success. We're afraid to succeed because then we give the support, right? And the support comes from what we tried to achieve and maybe what we felt ashamed of or guilty of, or maybe somebody ridiculed us, or maybe somebody in a way of their way of encouraging us just made us feel even worse, right? So, and that's where the fear of failure comes from. So then we don't even try. So week 6 is all about the waxing gibbous moon. It is a time to let go. It's really ending those cycles, creating new beliefs, really identifying what you're letting go of. Okay? So this is all about week 6. And that's the exercise that you do. And then we also do a little exercise together. Now, throughout all of this, like I said, each energy of the moon phases has been intertwined into the meditation. So you do have a daily meditation, and each week it does change. And that gets emailed out to you with the workbook for that week. Okay? But then there's also little exercises that we do together. And I wanted to really do that just to help you. And the reason why I started to explore a different way of approaching MBCT was because the whole main thing, and I even questioned the instructor about this, was they say to replace a thought or a word with another. Okay, but then you still have the energy around that. You still have the proof. You still have the evidence. You have the residual, and it's still trapped within your body. So how do you let that go? You can't really let it go until you really start to identify it, unwind it, and attack it. And I say attack not in a bad way, but if we maybe approach it, okay, that's a better word, and really approach it, not really attack it, I guess, right? Like, we don't really want that in there. So again, we do the mindful daily exercise, the 20-minute mindfulness daily walk, and the 5 senses exercise. That's in there. But now your worksheets that you do, okay? So it's a belief down arrow worksheet. Okay, so you choose one. And if you want to do more than one, because once you explore one, maybe you'll want to do more because it becomes exciting. It's like, oh, I want to understand this other belief. Oh, I want to get to know this one, right? So this is really, really getting into the core of who you are, really letting go of those influences, really letting go of the need to be validated, really letting go of that internal and external language that you've created that says, this is who I am, and this is why I am the way I am. Okay? So this is one of the exercises. And again, you see the arrow because you're writing it down and you're working it. So it's, what is the thought or belief to be challenged? Why is this a problem for me? Is this true all the time? Am I focusing on things that only support my belief? What evidence is there against my belief? What is another perspective I could see this from? Is this belief fact? Is it the truth? Right? So there you go. So that really gets all of that. Okay, and then we get into mindful belief questioning. Okay, then mindful belief creation. So again, these are exercises, and I know I'm saying it kind of slow. It's just because I don't want to say it incorrectly. So mindful belief questioning, mindful belief creation. Okay, and then we move on into week 7. And week 7 is the last quarter moon. So that's the energy that comes into this cycle. Into this week. It is a time to deliver and move forward. Okay. So within that, it's a time to reflect and revisit, to truly let go for clarity. Okay, so that's what this is all about. Now within this, of course, we've got the mindfulness daily exercise, the 20-minute mindfulness daily walk, the 5 senses exercise, and then we start to really go back and reflect on our language, okay? And this is also when we start to identify what our truth and understanding is about compassion, not only for ourselves, but for other people, right? And within that, it all comes out within our language because it's all a part of our core beliefs. Okay, then we start the language and thought patterns that you use when describing yourself. Do you use the same when describing others? Okay, so now I'm telling you what some of the exercises are. Do you stop yourself and either not say it, or do you pause and approach it from a compassionate point of view, right? Maybe you do for others. Maybe you say it first in your head and it's quite harsh, just so it doesn't come out harsh, and then you try and find another way to say it. That's quite a common way that I would say most of us do it, right? Because it's really harsh, but we don't want to sound harsh. So then we try and approach it a different way. Okay. So here we go through compassion, forgiveness, right? Because this is all about a letting go. And how do you let go? You forgive by understanding. So by this time, by week 7, you really start to identify and really start to understand what that is. Okay, and then allowing the pause to reassess. Remember that your body, mind, spirit, nervous system are absorbing and keeping memory of emotions, behaviors, reactions, beliefs that are communicated and displayed. They will support. So again, I'm just reading, so sorry, pardon me if I'm looking down. It's just because I'm reading from the workbook. They will support and store these responses for you to access when needed. So ask yourself, is how I am commuting true and from a place of compassion, or is it from a stored memory that needs to be released through understanding? Okay, so this is really being mindful of how you communicate. And so the exercises that are with that is mindful identity. I am, right? I am So what are you? I am compassionate. I am a loving person. What are you? Who do you want to be? What is the vision of you? And does it support your beliefs? Your beliefs, and not proof or validating somebody else's influences on you. Okay? Is it supporting your language? So what is it? Okay, the other exercises are drains and charges. So what really drains you? And then what really ignites you? Okay. Then our last week. So our last week, okay, it's the waning crescent moon. So this is the last phase of the moon cycle before we start it all over again, before we get back to the new moon. This is a time to sit in peace. Cut ties with old habits, behaviors, language, beliefs, and absorb and celebrate the results of the intention and manifestation of this course, right? So we also go back to what your manifestation was at the beginning, so 8 weeks ago, and your intention. Is it still the same? Or have you already achieved it? Have you moved beyond that? Right? Have you formed a new manifestation and a new intention? Are you ready for the next moon cycle? Now, within the MBCT program, it says that within the last week, you get to go back and choose which meditation you want to do. I did create an 8th week because I wanted it to support this moon phase, right? I wanted this to be infused. So I did create an 8th meditation, which you could do maybe 1 or 2 days out of the week, and then go back and do all of them just once a week. But then you have the full 8. So going forward, if you ever want to revisit a meditation and listen to it, you can go back. So again, within this moon phase, it's time to celebrate you again, right? So you've learned how to celebrate you on a daily way, instead of looking at what you did wrong, what was negative, what didn't work. This is all about celebrating you, right? So look at what you've done and really celebrate and really feel good about you. Really feel the joy. Really feel compassion for you, for understanding, for forgiveness. Understand how you love, right? Understand how you want to love. Understand how you want to give. Understand how you want to be. Understand what your beliefs and languages are. This is what this is all about. So again, you get to choose between the mindful daily exercise, the 20-minute mindfulness daily walk, the 5 senses exercise. Okay. So within this now, it says keep working with the mindful identity and mindfulness drains and charges worksheets this week. So what you learned in week 7, you're going to carry over into week 8, right? Because it just really helps solidify that and creates that foundation of the new you. Okay. And keep asking yourself, who am I in this moment? In this moment, who am I? And is it reflective of who I too want to be? Is it reflective of how I want to show up for me and for others? Right? So it's really all about that. But it's not about engaging it too deeply, right? So it's just being aware of it. And that's what we, in mindfulness meditations, that's what it is that when a thought comes into your mind, you just let it go. You don't engage with it. That's meditation anyways, because it's all about releasing. Meditation is your time to really let go, right? So that's, yeah. Now, but what's exciting about this? This is also about discovering your passion, right? Discovering purpose. What is my purpose? It helps to get you back onto your direction, or understand that maybe the direction that you're on wasn't and isn't supportive of who you actually do want to be. So it helps you to understand whether or not you do truly need to leave that job behind. Maybe you need to start a new career. Maybe you now have the confidence to step into that career that you've always wanted to do. Maybe it's understanding that the relationships that you have around you aren't supportive of you. So maybe it's time to let those go, right? But this is what this is all about. You being authentically you really stepping into you. Okay? So I wanted to give you a breakdown of what everything was. I know that I keep writing posts and I've written it out, but I wanted to come on personally and give this to you. Okay. So also within that please know that this course is discounted until the 19th at $582.73 or $582.75. That was as close as the percentages would let me sort of tweak it. Maybe I should have just done it at $583 and then it would have just kept me in that number. But anyways, whatever. It's as close as I could get to that. So thank you for joining me today. And if you see this on the replay, thank you for watching. I hope it gave you a better understanding of what this course really is about. And I am so excited to offer this for you on my scheduler. So if you go to the book now, you'll see everything there. But if you click on the link, it's only going to show you the 9 a.m. one. But I have created 8 sessions that you can sign up for. Now, within that too, there is a commitment letter. And all the commitment letter is really getting you into your authentic self, saying, yes, I am going to show up for me. I am going to do this on a weekly basis. I understand things happen. I understand people get sick. I understand that accidents happen. I understand that, things come up in the week, but also keep in mind, because that this is a commitment of 8 weeks, and then there may be somebody waiting to start the program after you in that time slot. And maybe not. Maybe we can do makeup classes, but for now, I'm only doing it on one day to support that in case we do need to do a makeup class later on in the week. But it's also because, I have other things and commitments going on in my life right now as well. So Tuesdays is what I'm focusing on. And as this grows, I'll be able to open up more days. But please do keep that in mind. And like I said, thank you so much. And I look forward to working with those who sign up with this course. Maybe it calls to you. And the other thing that I truly believe is it helps to get you back into an understanding of who we truly are, because our ancestors, everything that I just told you about the 8-phase moon cycle came from our ancestors. And that is in every culture, the way that we approach it, the way that we view it. It's in our genetic code. So that also helps to get us back into ourselves. It helps to get us back into our circadian rhythms. Thank you. Once again, thank you for joining me. Be well in all ways. Have a beautiful, blessed day.